one for you. Where do you want to go? We've got food, so.
No, I'll say it.
You'll stay out?
Yeah.
We all can.
Yeah.
Oh, 10 more coming. Look.
Yeah. You just keep the troops organised back here if they get a bit smart.
Join your group. Good on you. G'day Colin, how you going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Step up a bit, mate, so we can all hear.
No worries, no worries. I'm Shane Gannon, authorised officer.
Right, yep. And we'll introduce
So
our guys.
I'm here with Alex, you would have met this morning,
Yep.
and same as Craig
Yep.
and Tom.
Tom, yep, I've met you before, Tom, I think.
Yep.
Yep. So we're just here with the Vicarage VNI West project. I'm wearing a body-worn camera and it is recording today. This is for a log of evidence, but also everyone's safety.
Yep.
So basically all we're doing here today is just trying to facilitate access for the ecological surveys.
Yep.
You would have received a notice of proposed entry on the 3rd of March this year. Have you received that?
Yeah, I just got a communication from my liaison officer. You
Yep.
guys have done everything right up to date, no worries.
Thank you, appreciate that. And I'll just confirm again, you are Colin Fenton, the landowner?
You need to
perfect.
see some ID?
No, you don't have to show it. I believe you. Thank you. And I'm just going to ask, are you going to allow access today?
No, we're not going to allow access today.
No, that's okay. Do you want to provide any reasons why?
Yes.
Yep.
I think we need to go on a history lesson here.
Yep.
The property that's over my shoulder. Can everyone hear me? No. Yeah, the property over my shoulder here was purchased 102 years ago by my late father, who was 19 at the time. He'd lost his father, and this was his first property he ever bought. Interesting that it was cleared with an axe. One of the things that I think we've lost the plot in this particular farm is that there's obviously Aboriginal artefacts there, because the property straight east of there used to be in our family ownership by my late brother, and I actually assisted him in clearing the property back in the 1950s, and definitely saw Aboriginal middens there. So we, back in those days, no one got too excited about that sort of activity, so we laid it out to irrigation like I've done here. I guess one of the big issues we've got here is that if you were to go ahead and do what you want to do, this property here will become unviable in the sense, A, you're standing right in the path of where the easement is, so therefore we can't get access to our farm because that's the only occupation crossing we've got. So that's fine. We go down the channel a bit further, we get Gold Murray Water and spend $100,000 and put another occupation crossing in. Then we go to Vic Roads to get access out on the bitumen road, so that's another heap of money. And then we're going to finish up with a lucerne stand, which costs hundreds of thousands, well not thousands of dollars, but hundreds of dollars, the minimum to establish in time. It takes about 4 years from when you laser a paddock till the lucerne's at its peak production. So the loss of production now, I think it's very interesting. A previous liaison officer who has left Vic Grid came here one day with me, and we had a stand at the gate here, and I explained everything to him, and he said, I'm not sure where we're going with all this, because he said, quite obviously you're going to have to relay it all out if we go through there with a line. But he said, I will compensate you, so we'll just give you more money. So So while we're talking about compensation, I think one of the biggest, whether it's an insult, people can take whatever way they like. The first bit of money they offered me to have the power lines put here gave me this fee that you people would pay if I allow you to go in and have a look. And because I've objected to it, that's been raised 4 times, nearly 4 times. Now, I'm sorry, but I'm 83 years old, and I've seen some pretty tough times in Victoria or Australia, and I can't understand how people have gone to sleep and let this spending of public money just go on uninhibited. It is just outrageous, and I ran the story this morning where Mick told me yesterday or the other day at our CRG meeting in Charlton how what I've suggested is that you go down our boundary fence in a straight line, and every farmer has said the same thing. We can't operate with going angleways through our farms, whether it's dry land or irrigation. And Mick Duke said, oh, we can't run them straight because there might be a house close to the line. I accept that. But then he told me that the costing is between $3 and $5 million per tower. Now, who's pulling whose leg? How could it possibly cost between $3 and $5 million for one tower? So that's an issue. Moving on from that, if, say for example, I did give you permission today, would you actually go onto our property here, and what would you do?
Yeah, so that is a great question. So basically what we'll do is we'll have the ecologists come forward. They will meet you, and what they will do is...
No, but you haven't got an ecologist with you today.
No, we do.
You
So
do.
not here right now, but they're in a car waiting if you provide access, and they'll come introduce themselves, show you their identification. They'll do a full biosecurity washdown, so they'll come clean, they'll stay clean while on your property, then they'll leave clean, and you'll be able to document it all, and they'll document it as well. They'll come on, they'll make sure they're doing the right thing, and I'm going to be here. So with my colleague Alex, we're going to be here to make sure they're only doing what they're proposed to do, and you can be there with us. So that's the fantastic thing, is you get to be there, and if you think you're not happy with it, we get to call it. We have the decision to call it, and so do you. So if you let us on, we'll come do the surveys, we'll check the easement, the ecologists will check patches, they'll check what's native, what's not, they'll take some photos of only what they're supposed to take photos of, and then they'll do a report, and they'll present that to you and also to VicGrid, and then that will determine whether the easement is suitable for your property or if it has to be thought through further down the line.
So are you aware there's already an easement in there?
I'm sure Vince told Vince about that, so obviously they take those things into consideration. But I'm sure you made Vince and Patrick aware of that.
So what's your comment about the fact that there's got to be Aboriginal artefacts?
So the ecologist team, they also have they have archaeologists on their team, and they can come do cultural heritage checks, and also the VNI West team have contractors who are cultural heritage trained, and then if they do find anything, they'll flag it, and then further surveys would have to be conducted with your consent to make sure that that's all documented and put in the process for this EES statement.
Or would you like to comment on the block straight over that we used to own, where I know there are things? What's been the outcome of that?
We're here just to talk about the access today, but keep having
But
those
you've obviously got permission for the next farm on, no?
We're not going to make comment on which
right,
landlord
okay.
agreed. Obviously, same discussion with yourself. If we reach agreement, we don't disclose that with anyone.
Right.
It stays between you and VicGrid and VNI West.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty passionate about where we're at. My father cleared a block of land with an axe, so I was brought up with a pretty strong back. So what I'm suggesting to VicGrid, that's where we're coming from. We're what we term soul of the earth people. I've never been in strife with the law in my 83 years, and I think here we are, days away from Anzac Day, and I quoted this morning evenly that there are people that are my neighbours that went to the Second World War and some didn't make it home. If they were to be seeing what's going on here today, they'd wonder why they went to war to defend it, because at the end of the day, if they hadn't defended, you guys wouldn't have been standing there and we wouldn't have been standing here. So I've got to give you respect for how you've conducted yourself. I'll give you that respect. But my message is, when you go back to Vic Grid, and it should be Vic Grid, and you should have a Vic Grid jacket on, not a VNI West one too, because that's sort of nearly misleading, as I said out at Margaret, that our consultation has been zealous. We really, from a CRG point in Charlton, for 3.5 years questions have been asked, and we're not getting the answers back. We've got devaluation. The shires have finally woken up. You're going to get resistance from the shires when they wake up what's happening with their valuation of the land, and you won't have just us group here. You're going to have other ratepayers are suddenly going to wake up. For example, this property here, what's happened is the valuation of this has dropped 25% because according to the land value, and I don't think he was telling Joey's, what they did was they measured up the area of land and they devalued that to zero because they said, well, you can't use it, and if you people took it by compulsory acquisition, we don't even own it anymore. So the amount of money shire rates are going to drop in the Gannawarra Shire on 98 assessments is going to be considerable, and then suddenly people are going to wake up, hang on a minute, I'm going to have to pay more for my rates because of these farmers and the power lines. Well, it wasn't the farmer's fault that you come through. So I went one step further and I went straight to 2 real estate people in Kerang and I said, look, I'm sick of this arguing. The point I'm 83, I'm bloody out of here. What about selling your properties? And they looked at me and said, you're wasting time. We've got 2 properties over at Charlton we've been trying to sell for 12 months. People will not purchase land anywhere near where there's power lines. And you can go over what I said this morning and no doubt, the landscape there, look at that. That sort of stuff won't get produced if we downsize our area of land. I made the comment, 8% of our land mass, our arable land mass, and there's a big difference between arable land mass and bloody trees like over there in food production. We're not going to be worrying about the lights going out, we're going to be worried about where your next meal comes from. And the sooner the people realise that, the better. So I ended my sermon, really.
No, well, thank you for your time there, Colin. Like that's great. You explained it really well, so I appreciate the good conduct on your behalf as well. Similar to this morning with my colleague that you would have spoken with, I do have to go through the next process, which is issuing a formal warning, just that it is an offence to not allow access for the survey today, under Section 93 of the Electricity Industry Act of 2000. And I now have to direct you to open up the gate.
Yep.
Will you open up the gate and allow access to the survey?
No, I won't open the gate. I think I've made the point pretty clear there.
Yep.
Look, we're not aggressive people, and what I'm just trying to promote, that for God's sake, the Minister should be aware that we want to sit down and discuss what our concerns are. We're not getting to the table to discuss it. Look, the Minister, if it had anything between her ears, and no disrespect to her, but if she had anything between her ears and her advisors should be saying, look, there's a major issue in Victoria, let's go and talk to the people. I've got people sitting that are in here that sit on the committee with me and they'd only be too happy to sit down at the table. It might take forever. I've been through a lot of debates in my career where you start off miles apart and at the end of the day there's a bit of bloodletting on both sides and you get to somewhere where we've got to go. And that's what I'm hoping will happen in this case.
Thank you. You make really good points.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Excuse why you answered. Under Section 93 that you just said it's an offence to block access for you today. How many cases have been tested since you sent past that legislation? How many have been successful? How many have failed? And what's the statistics you got to back that up?
I'm not authorised to speak on that behalf at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to, where he just talked about access, no, we don't.
So you're actually making a veiled threat about Section 93 that you have no idea whether it's even being tested in court and it is actually passed it from a legal point of view.
We're here just to discuss the access here and now.
I appreciate your time, Darren, but unfortunately we're just here to talk about land access for their collectible surveys. But if you do have a question about that, get onto your land liaison officer and ask them. Like, get onto them, just have a chat and try and really gauge what they're thinking about it and what they can tell you about it all. At the moment, I'm just here for access for their collectible surveys, and that's all I can really help with at the moment. But I appreciate your question and thank you. It's Is there anything else that we can do to help facilitate access?
Has anybody
to,
else got a question
Colin?
through me, or? No, people
What happens to with the farms? Are they going to compensate the farmers some of these rates that they've got to pay now for trial rates and things, or so who looks after the, is it an easement?
It's an easement we take, but in terms of those questions about rates and things, keep talking to your landlord liaison about that. Again, we're here just to talk about the access today. That's purely what we're here for. But
well, I guess that's a
Who
good.
looks after underneath the power lines, to stop fires and things? Is that up to Big Red or who?
it's best to talk to, if Vince is your landlord liaison, best to discuss those questions with him. Or we're here just to talk about the access today.
Well, I guess what Brett's alluding to is, I didn't make it too clear, irrigation land is a totally different ballgame to dry land in that there are fixed charges on delivery shares on irrigation land. So it would be fair to say out of those 98 assessments between here and Maribit, from here to Maribit anyway, they'd be all irrigation farms who've got a fixed charge. So what I'm saying is, if that land was acquired compulsorily and you take it over as the Crown does, there'll be a fixed charge on an annual basis to Gold Murray Water. And what I'm saying is that those charges are going to have to be picked up by the government because of the loss of revenue, which will be considerable, because the people are certainly not going to stand by and say, well, hang on a minute, I'm paying delivery shares on a bit of Crown land. So, but nobody, I asked Mick the other night, and he looked at me and didn't understand what I was on about. So what I'm trying to say is, the cart's been put before the horse. Come out and talk to people who live it, know it. Like, I don't go to Melbourne and stand on a box and tell people what to do. But sadly, that's what's happened in this case. People come out from Melbourne, desktop studies, this is how we're going to do it. Tell the people. Well, no wonder people got their backs up. And they don't understand it. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to get any traction out of anywhere, we're going to have the minister and the advisors to sit down with the people who know the area. I don't go away and tell people in 50 mile away from here what they should be doing, and I haven't really got a lot of time for people come and tell me what to do. So if you're finished, that's okay, you can be excused.
No, thank you for your time.
Yep, no worries. People got that on tape, have they? Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, and just keep in contact with Vince. And
Yeah,
just,
we will, don't worry about that.
All right.
Good
Thank
evening.
you, everyone.
Thank
All
you.
right, see ya.
Jump over the fence and start tracking.